you're very welcome to the studio today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Cliona.
And I'm really looking forward to hearing your story. It's really interesting. You started your life in investment banking, a fast-paced world of finance.
Many moons ago.
And then your journey kind of progressed. But just talk to me about where it all kind of started for you and bring us back to, I suppose, graduating from college and tell us your
Sure, I was a
story.
pup. I was very young. I think I was about 19 when I graduated with my degree.
Very young.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Barely 20 anyway. And, the whole world ahead of you. And at that time it was all glitz and glamour and fast pace. So the opportunity arose to go straight into work out of my degree. So
Which was finance, is it?
finance, sorry, straight out. So I had a degree in finance and went into a bank called Bear Stearns, which if you're old school, you might remember, but they don't exist anymore. So I worked with them from, I'd say, July straight out of college. And kind of, the fast pace, moved up to Dublin, living by myself, and hit the ground running, I suppose.
Yeah, you didn't take that kind of gap, or
No.
and neither did I, by the way. But yeah.
In hindsight, would I have? Who knows? It was so long ago, but at the time I didn't feel like I was losing it. Opportunity then to move to a bigger investment bank, so I moved to Merrill Lynch, and got a wealth of information and experience there. And then an opportunity arose to become a dealer with Bank of Ireland.
Okay.
So moved up to front office at the ripe age of 20. And sure, it was great crack.
Yeah.
Early
I know
mornings,
people that have
late
worked in that
nights.
kind of role. It's fast. It is very fast paced.
Yeah.
It's the corporate world can be demanding.
But sure, I was in my element.
Yeah.
Fancy clothes to work, meeting clients, lunches. I think it was obviously the slog at the other end, and you just dig in with everybody else.
Sometimes it's trying to balance the
Sure,
nights out with the work.
I didn't have any balance. I just did everything, and I could do everything because I was young, I suppose.
Yeah.
So then I did my day job, and then I did a master's by night. So I went back then to DCU, and I did a 2-year master's in investment and treasury.
Okay.
There's always that need to keep evolving and keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep up. And got my master's and was able to excel in work and hit targets and big numbers and always chasing the client and always chasing the revenue. So it's all I knew, if I'm honest. It's all I knew, and I normalised it. And then had the opportunity to go travelling, so take that little break then that
So
I
how
hadn't
long were you in
taken.
Dublin, let's say, over that period?
The bones of about 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so from Bear Stearns all the way through to Masters and Bank of Ireland. So the 6-month break turned into a 3.5-year life-changing experience, I should say. So I did the South America with my girlfriends and had a great time, and then was going to Australia for 3 months just to see what it was like to live there and do the whole kind of Irish thing.
Yeah.
But I decided I wanted to stay.
Okay.
So
And where in Australia did you go to?
I was in Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah. I met some lovely people travelling and connected with them again. So
And what was the instigator to stay?
Probably a change in me versus a change in the external factors.
Okay.
The want to get back to my job straight away and get straight stuck back into it wasn't there. I kind of found a slower pace of life, which no, it wasn't super slow, but it was definitely slower. And I suppose there was just the open world and the unknown and meeting new people and new cultures and all that. It was very interesting. So I said I'd take the opportunity while I had it. I got a job in an investment bank in Melbourne and worked there for the bones of 3.5 years.
And was it different to working in banking here or in investment banking here, or was it essentially kind of...
I was slightly different role, so I was more customer facing. And probably there is where I learned what the rest of my life could look like.
Okay.
That was kind of, I was older, I was in a more of a high pressured role. There was bigger targets, there was more expectations, and some of it I aligned with and some of it I didn't, I suppose. And that's where I started to probably question, did I want to do this for the next 10 years, not mind for the rest of my life. But
Well, that decision came kind of earlier on in your career, really, because, sometimes it can take people 20, 30 years to kind of...
I can be a slow learner.
Get to that point.
Yeah. So I suppose everything I had experienced in the travelling and in the new relationships I'd made and just learning about myself, I wouldn't be...
And were you always into fitness?
I was a team player.
Okay.
So I would have played my hockey. I would have enjoyed my team sports. Gotten involved where I need to be, but it wasn't my, my get up and go driver, let's just say. I would be slow to go to bed at night. I would be slow to get up in the morning. I'd tick the box by going to the gym after work. I'd go for a walk with the girls, but it was never one of my non-negotiables.
And did you notice a difference between, I suppose, how Australian people approach fitness to Irish people? Because
that's a big reason, I suppose, why I did get into fitness, because I worked 7 to 4 in the bank with markets, and so you'd have to be up at 6. But when I started getting into my fitness, I'd get up at 5 to train, and that was something I would never ever even like. That's the middle of the night in Ireland, so you wouldn't be getting up to go training at 5 in the morning. Yeah. But it became my normal because a lot of other people were doing it. So when you're not alone and you see other people doing it, you're like, well, if they can do it,
it normalizes
I'll give it a go. Exactly, it normalizes it. So, I started training in a CrossFit gym, in Melbourne at 5 in the morning, and it just set a whole different tone for me, and not even just from a day to day, but my energy, my outlook, the relationships I made from that were a lot more fulfilling for me. They weren't kind of, they were adding to my life, not taking away. And
what do you think, because I'm interested in this kind of personally as well, like what do you think is the difference between, let's say, CrossFit and standard going to a normal gym?
Well, from someone who's done the cycle of CrossFit training, it's very overwhelming at the start because you are doing things you've never thought you could do before. It's not just your standard, swing a kettlebell or do some squats. And there's a community around it. So I think that's one of the big pluses of the type of training that is. It's group orientated. So you're not alone. You're not suffering alone. You're sharing wins together. And that's something that really motivated me, was seeing people do something that they thought they couldn't do, doing something myself that I thought I couldn't do, and then obviously the longer term gains of being stronger, feeling better, leaner, fitter, more energy.
And how long would you do in these sessions when you went to the gym at 5 in the morning? I mean, how long were the group sessions?
45 minutes.
Okay.
More than enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you stayed in Australia for 3.5 years, working obviously in investment banking. And then at what stage did you decide, okay?
An opportunity arose. At the time, my brother, who is my business partner, was in Brisbane as an engineer, and Ireland was just coming into that kind of sticky stage of the recession. And we were like, right, if we don't go home now, we call it the 3-year itch. If we don't go now, when are we going to go? Because the years will just they'll go quicker. You always feel like you're on holiday when you're Australia at that age anyway, irrespective of having a professional job and doing your day to day. And it was then we realized that Australia is really far away.
Yeah,
it is 24 hours in a plane, 36 whatever, but like if you need to get home, it's the longest 2 days of your life. So we're like, we got to be a bit more mature about things now and look at the bigger picture. So we say we take the opportunity to go home, but rather than going back into recession Ireland as in construction or in banking, which were both not the best places to be back then, we said we'd open a gym.
And are you similar? Or are you kind of a yin and a yang?
We're definitely a yin and a yang.
Okay. Yeah. Which probably is really complementary in business.
Absolutely. And it's only now from my banking days of doing the Myers personality tests and stuff, you can see all the different characteristics and good traits that we bring.
That kind of people bring from each side.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that was back, did you say 2007?
2012 is when we came home.
2012 when you came home.
Yeah.
And
so we
talk to me about the opening of a... Yeah. How do you start that?
Well,
how do you even begin?
We landed in Cork with our backpacks, and we were shipping clothes back from Australia, which I didn't do properly, and they got stuck somewhere and they got eaten by moths, but that's a different story. We started training people in our dad's back garden.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a couple of kettlebells, we had a couple of ropes, and we invited people into the garden every Friday evening and put them through their paces.
And I don't mean to be, but did you monetize that kind of?
Not at the time.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
We had done before we had come home, I went to Canada and did an internship. We had both done our courses over in Australia that we needed to get into the fitness industry. And we just said we'd see how it goes. So
and when did you make the move then to where you currently are?
We just started driving around Cork City.
Okay.
And we're looking at all these empty warehouses essentially, and found one on the South Douglas Road in Dasco. So we took that lease 13 years ago and we still have it,
Brilliant.
which is great. And we built the business from there, literally
Fantastic.
from
And
the
do you
ground up.
think, having worked in the corporate world, and obviously your brother's experience from,
Massive, massive
that
help.
that gave you the grounding to be able to
Yeah.
set up as
For
business owners?
so many reasons, the discipline around having had quite high pressure jobs was obviously a very beneficial for us. Planning, having structure, like we were still learning, but at least we had the foundations right.
Mm-hmm.
Even thinking into the longer term, which is something that you don't really do in your 20s, and
Yeah.
we had that skill from having seen peers do it and management do it in our jobs.
And
So
talk to me about the community that you have built in Obodo, and obviously then we'll go on
yeah.
to your new, because I think you have that entrepreneurial spirit where you've built one business and it's never enough. So on to the
It's
next
funny you say
thing
that because
to build,
everything,
and it's like building blocks.
yeah, it's not, I'm not a purposeful entrepreneur. I would put myself more as an organic one.
Yeah.
At the time I started Obodo, or what
But
was
that's what
then,
every entrepreneur says.
yeah, is it? CrossFit Return, which is what we started the gym as, was born out of a love for helping others,
Yeah.
but also our own passion for fitness. We saw a need for something different in Ireland at the time. So CrossFit was very new anyway, but there was very few gyms, people doing it in general. It's CrossFit has a bad name, and I understand why it does. But at the end of the day, we just wanted to teach and help people move functionally,
Mm-hmm.
help them to feel better, use their bodies better.
But I think it's such a big part of all of our lives. I
Yeah,
mean, and I think well, I'm not going to say I think I'm definitely at an older stage than you. And, I think if you've built fitness, which I would, I feel I'm not a fitness fanatic at all,
but it's something you
but
can
I've
always
always
do.
had it as part of
Yeah,
my life. And when you hit your mid 40s, you start getting aches and pains. And, but if it's part of a kind of a routine and a regime, it
it's
helps.
like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as long as it's adding value for you
Yes.
rather than taking it away. So yeah, 13 years ago we started the gym, and it's been growing. The community is
And how
probably
did you promote it? I mean, how do you promote?
early doors.
Yeah,
Word of mouth.
yeah.
13 years ago there was no social media. We had phones to send text messages. That was kind of the crux of it.
And it's obviously evolved from that
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
But I think if your product or your service is good, people will talk about it.
absolutely.
If they're feeling good about themselves and people can see a difference in people, and their energy is different, their mood is different, they're looking really good, then that speaks for itself.
And how important do you think wellness, I suppose, is in the whole role within all of our lives? I mean, our
It's
well-being,
I think
promoting well-being.
it's very different now how we interpret wellness, because everyone's wellness is different. The term wellness is probably being butchered a little bit at
Mm-hmm.
the moment. And we're being told what wellness is
Mm-hmm.
versus working out what our own is. Um, Personally, my wellness in my 20s and my 30s is very different to what it is in my 40s. So having the education and having the insight into yourself and what are the better choices for you is what's important for your wellness. It's not just because some company trying to sell a product is telling you this is wellness. So
And what
information
age
overload.
profile people would you have, let's say, in a Bodo and
The
in
gym
the
is
cross?
the gym has a range of ages.
Okay,
Our youngest is 19. She's doing her leaving cert,
okay.
and our eldest is 77.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So fitness and movement should be for everyone, and it is for everyone. But with all the different hype around different buzz kind of fitness routines and classes and group training sessions, it can be quite excluding or
Yeah,
inclusive for certain and exclusive for
yeah,
others.
yeah.
So what we try to do at Obodo is just make it accessible for everybody.
And one thing that you've mentioned, and I really agree with what you've just said, that like your fitness in your 20s is different to your 30s. I mean,
Your
I
goals
would
are
have
so
kind of
different.
started out as kind of a swimmer, then I moved to triathlon, and then I have moved to tennis.
Mm.
But all of that, I suppose, in the background, and I need to focus more on strength training. But you've moved obviously to Anumi, which is your new launch
Yep.
and your new kind of community. So tell us a little bit about that, and
So new
who that's
me,
kind of targeted
yeah,
at.
it's targeted at people like me,
Hmm.
or people like you, ladies in their midlife. It came around in the most, I suppose, like most businesses, it came out in a very unusual way. The gym had just passed its 11th birthday, so it's 13 this year, so it was 11th birthday, and I just wasn't excited. I wasn't excited about anything, if I'm honest. I hit a bit of a bump and I couldn't get going again.
And I think that is very honest, obviously, to be so open about it. And I've had a lot of friends that have been in the same position, so we need to talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of an open book anyway, but what I'm trying to do is show people it's okay and it's quite normal. Yeah, so my confidence took an absolute hammering. Anxiety went through the roof. Sleeping wasn't happening. I was waking up in sweats all the time. I was itching, and I just didn't understand what had happened. I thought I was going a bit mad, if I'm honest, and that's hand on heart truth. So
And do
I
you mind me asking what age you were when that
was
happened?
41.
Okay.
Yeah, so very young.
Very young, yeah.
I did a little bit of research because I do like to understand and have
The
proper
why.
exactly, not just because someone told me or I think so. So that brought me down this whole rabbit hole of perimenopause. I'd never even heard of that word before. Um, it was a self-diagnosis at the time because it's one of those things. Unfortunately, you can't do a test and diagnose it from. But I did hit a lot of the symptoms. So if I feel like this and I'm confused and I'm overwhelmed and I'm feeling lost, then I'm going to take a guess that most women feel the same because we
And then
hadn't had that conversations.
it's really hard when you're in business, and when I mean in business, in work, working, an employee, functioning.
Concentrating,
Yeah.
yeah, and feeling confident in what you do. I think that's one of the big things I learned from clients. So I went down that rabbit hole on numerous occasions and came out probably a little bit more confused, but also understanding that there was a need to educate myself and others. So I did my courses, I got my qualifications, and started New Me Collective. So it was born out of a passion and knowing that there's a need for better education out there.
And what is the offering, Lucy? So for
So
anyone that
it's
is interested, and
yeah, it's I stay in my lane, so it's all about exercise, movement, and nutrition, and it's just helping women like ourselves in midlife to make things a little bit easier because it's not easy.
well, it's funny
Um,
because again, I'm bringing in Richard Hogan, who we did a podcast with a couple of months ago, and he says 47 is that age at which is the most difficult for women.
yeah,
And I said, okay, why? Because he said, okay, your parents are possibly elderly if
yeah,
they're still
you're
alive.
caring for people.
You're caring for young children.
Yeah,
You're possibly going through menopause. So it's a tricky age,
it's a lot coming at
and
you.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
So I think everybody needs support. So
exactly.
it's brilliant that, you have supports available to women
But
that,
what's important is that we understand it.
yeah.
So a lot of, as I said, people feel like they're going mad or that they're broken. There's something wrong, and then they automatically assume that it's a mental health issue, which can be often a big burden for a lot of people. So
And there was an article in the paper last week with a lot of women who had said their first port of call was obviously maybe GP who had prescribed
prescribed antidepressants.
antidepressants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
When it could be just a bit of an open conversation, a look at lifestyle, a look at what's happening outside of the symptoms, and then making a connection there.
and what do your consultations look like with somebody?
So they're very bespoke. They have to be because everyone is so individual and everyone's experiences and symptoms are. So sit down, have a chat. What's life like at the moment? It's usually about where they want to get to. A lot of the time it's down to weight management or stress management, or just knowing deep down that they could be doing better, but they just don't know how to. I think social media is a great tool, but it's also very detrimental. And it can be that doom scrolling, that kind of overwhelming feeling that we all can experience is what's
Well, we
driving a
compare
lot of this.
ourselves to others, don't we? And
And
we
we're
look at life.
getting information that's not factual, you know. I'm a very big believer on having like proper resources, and everything has to have, you know, proper backing behind it. And I'm here to educate, so I don't want to be an influencer.
Mhm.
I don't want any of that kind of trappings. I want to be able to help women feel better about themselves.
And how long would a general meeting or consultation take? Is there any kind of
The
particular
initial,
time?
depending on what the goals are, we usually have a chat for about an hour.
Okay.
We bring it back to obviously how they're moving, how they're sleeping, what they're eating, and we just look at the kind of the main kind of pillars around that, and then we make a plan.
And where can people, let's say, meet you if in
So I
person? Is
have
it
an
in?
office
Okay.
in Obodo.
Okay.
So obviously I tie that in with the movement aspect. The way we have built the gym, especially in the last few years post COVID, and with the element of it being very inclusive, we have a little bit of everything for everyone. We're not a focused CrossFit gym anymore. We have other types of classes that are very applicable to certain types of training that you're looking for. So if you're looking for just strength training, you're looking for just conditioning, or you want a mix of both, or you want to just do cardio. So yeah, the way the gym has evolved, it matches very well with.
And for men, because I'm kind of conscious that we're talking
Yeah,
about just solely women in
no,
terms of
I help men
anime.
too.
So tell me what the offerings are for the males.
The men, what I find from working with them is more about time management and I suppose just more attention on what they're doing. So men are very lucky in the sense that they don't have the same hormonal roller coaster every month that a woman has. So they can be a little bit more, well, this is my routine and I can stick with it. But in the same breath, they have to understand what that routine needs to involve in order to feel better.
And does your brother, is he still involved in?
He has a new project.
Okay.
So he's very much working kind of overseas at the moment. He's bringing one of his tech products called Revelate to other countries, and he's
Okay.
doing a great job of that now at the moment. So we have Revelate in Obodo. That's one of the classes that my 75-year-old father does
Oh my God.
twice a week with his uncle, or with his
Oh,
brother, my uncle.
yeah.
So yeah, Chris is now doing that on a full-time basis. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
So you have three kids.
two,
Oh, sorry,
two.
two kids.
Yeah,
Apologies. What ages?
Quinn is 5 and Oscar is 3, nearly 4.
And how do you balance
I
like
don't know.
working life, running a business, being a mom to two young children? It's very
Good.
busy.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that, and I think I take for granted the energy that I have. And then some days I don't have that energy, and it's really hard to give myself that little, it's okay to slow down. So that is a constant learning for me, I think. I burnt out a few times before I had children.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think I'm more aware, and I have a little bit more self control now that I have kids, because you can't, you have to be there for them, you know.
Yeah.
I can be there and I might not be present,
Yes.
so I have to be present as well. So it's just managing my time, learning to say no,
I think that's a big
protecting
thing.
protecting my own energy, because they're obviously my number one.
And they need you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, there's so many different questions that are popping. Like I'm like, oh my God. You had the bravery to kind of move from that like pensionable
Mm-hmm.
job to go out on your own,
Yeah.
which really is a very, very brave move. And, I'm sure there's probably people listening that are kind of could possibly be in a situation where maybe they're in a role that they mightn't be very happy in, or like what would you say to somebody who is kind of has that little bit of an itch, but obviously vulnerable about, taking next steps to trying to explore what self-employment looks like?
Yeah. Having been there, I would say it is scary, but also the thought of staying in that job that isn't making me happy for X amount of years or the rest of my life is more scary than trying to see what it would be like if I wasn't.
Yeah.
It is daunting. Change is daunting. There's no
Hmm.
doubt about it. I think COVID showed that for a lot of us. Um, but sometimes change is good,
Yeah.
and you need to just trust yourself, back yourself. Case scenarios that you might have to go back to retrain to something else, or it might open an opportunity or a possibility you hadn't considered before. So yeah, it's to back yourself.
Yeah,
You know,
have
if you're
have
having these
belief in
feelings,
yourself and embrace kind of change, because I was saying to you kind of off air that a lot of the guests that I've spoken to recently have had moments of
mm,
kind of change, and where it hasn't always been something that has been easy to embrace, but sometimes it's about trying to take that risk, especially if it's something that you're very passionate about. And I can hear your
Yeah.
passion when I talk to you, about it. For somebody that is maybe struggling a little bit now and, wants to kind of just do one thing to help them, a simple thing. Is there any little bit of advice that you can give to somebody that is that one thing?
Make it simpler.
Okay.
Even simple things are hard. When we're not feeling very confident about what we're doing, we're stuck in a rush, we're low on energy, it's really, really hard to break that cycle. So if it even means, it sounds silly, but getting up 10 minutes earlier in your day, it's trying to give yourself that little bit more space to think, to have a little bit more downtime just to assess where you need to go is enough right now. Then start making small changes.
And I think that's a really good point, because even over the last few weeks, I've kind of said to myself, why am I feeling so busy? Why am I feeling
Yeah,
kind of
trying to
stressed
squeeze
and
everything
like,
in.
and nothing has really changed, but it's just life seems
The pace.
incredibly busy, and the pace of life is chaotic.
Everyone's busy. Like, that's all I hear from people now. Oh, I don't have time. I'm really busy. Oh, it's chaotic at the moment. God, I need a break.
Yeah.
We're all, everyone is the same, but everyone's busy is different. But at the same breath, we can't change that unless we make the changes. No one else is going to slow it down for us.
Absolutely. And I
You
think it's
know,
being in control of ourselves and our own destination.
like
And
having boundaries. I know all these words are like
but
can be
it's
kind of
true.
triggering for people, but you need to have a boundary. You need to be able to say no. You need to be able to say nope. My diary is full with nothing, but that's my nothing. It's not your time. It's my time. We'll
Yeah.
do it next week instead. Is it really urgent? No, we'll do it tomorrow, or we'll do it when I'm available.
Yeah.
Kids' activities. Do they need to do 5 activities a week? Do I need to spend all my afternoons in my car? Like, all these things have a massive knock-on effect.
Well, particularly the more children you have, I mean,
More activities, yeah.
it can be overwhelming for
Oh,
parents. And I think I've even heard
and
it in the
exhausting.
last week or two. Oh, everyone's looking forward to an end to the activities
Yeah,
for the summer.
but the summer then will be like, what camps? What
Yeah.
camps? Where are we going now? Kids are sitting at home for half an hour. They have nothing to do. Quickly, what will we do?
Yeah,
It's
it is crazy. And Lucy, for anyone that would like to reach out for more information to find out either about the CrossFit side of the business or Anumi Collective, can you
yeah.
just
So
give us a little bit?
Obodo,
Yeah.
we have our website, we have our Instagram profile. So OBODO stands for community, which is obviously a big part of what we do. So they can reach out and you can arrange for a phone call, you can arrange for a gym visit. We offer some trial classes, so you can try before you buy, as they say,
Yeah.
just to give people a sense of what they will be doing.
I think for me anyway, when you're making that step to go to a new environment, it can be daunting. It can be
Oh,
really
and
daunting
gyms
about going in
especially.
the door of a new place and you're kind of saying, sometimes it's nice to kind of look at a class virtually first to say, okay, what does it actually look like, so that when you go in,
But
you know what to expect.
gyms are particularly intimidating. If you've
Yeah.
never been to a gym before, you haven't been in a while, or if you've had a bad experience somewhere else, it's very limiting for people. So it's important that you feel that you're here for yourself, what your own goals are, you're made feel comfortable, how your own body moves, how hard you want to push yourself. Everyone's is different. So we work with people on that individually. And all the coaches are fantastic at doing that. And it's important that people are aware that they don't have to hit a standard. There's no, well, I'm not fit enough, so I can't go. Like, the reason you go to the gym is to get fit. You don't need to be fit to go to the gym.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You don't have to have a certain outfit. I cannot reiterate that enough. You can wear something comfortable and
Yes.
safe on your feet.
Yeah.
We have a no mirrors, no phones policy. So it's not about showing the world what you're doing in the gym and having a certain style or a look. It's just a place where you can go, leave your troubles at the door, stop thinking about work, stop thinking about what you have to make for dinner, stop thinking about all the activities at the weekend, focus on you, move well, enjoy it.
And what
Bit of
opening
an
hours?
endorphin kick.
For obviously people working in different
First
jobs.
class is 6 in the morning,
Okay.
and last class is just before 8 o'clock at night. We've
Okay.
over 105 classes a week,
Oh my God. Wow.
and 4 different types of classes. So
Okay.
I'm confident to say there's something for everybody, but obviously that's up for people to come and see themselves.
Brilliant. Well, your story is immensely interesting, and I
Thank
could
you.
talk to you all day long. But I think you probably need to get back to back to work and
Yes.
back to the kids. But thank you so much for your
No,
time
thank you,
today,
Cliona. I
Lucy.
really
It's been a
enjoyed it.
pleasure chatting to you.
Beautiful. Thank you.